Hi, I'm Michael Jackson Heimos from Santa Monica's Morgan Wixon Theater. Actor, singer, dancer, and musical director Daniel Koh is an important member of the Morgan Wixon family. You may recognize him from Seussical, title of show She Loves Me, Drowsy Chaperone. I am constantly amazed at how smoothly he transitions from musical director to actor, and I can't wait to talk to him about that today. Hi, Daniel. Thanks so much for doing this with me.
My pleasure. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing great. I noticed your Christmas tree behind you. It is
Yeah,
April 12th.
true. I should tell you that it's been up since 2015, so it's been a hot second.
That is hysterical.
Yeah,
It's always good to have Christmas all through the year.
absolutely. It's good for mental health.
So, how did you find your way to the Morgan Wixon?
Uh, so, the first school I taught at in Los Angeles was Marymount High School, and one of my colleagues was his name is David Hurley. He was a math teacher, and he actually did Secret Garden with Ann Gessling directing some time ago. I mean, this would have been, I think, at this point, more than a decade ago. Yeah, that's how I heard about it, and then I auditioned for the next show that they had, which coincidentally happened to be a play and not a musical, and then I auditioned for Legally Blonde after that.
What play was it, out of curiosity?
So it was a two. There were two plays in one production, Black Comedy and The Still Alarm. Black Comedy was the main
Oh,
play,
wow.
and it started because it was about 80 minutes long. It started with a tiny little one act that was just 7 minutes long, called The Still Alarm, and I was in The Still Alarm. I was a violin playing fireman who had no lines. And thus launched my Morgan Wixon career.
So, when you're the music director and also casting the show, do you have rules for yourself when you have to switch between the disciplines? Or, like, how long do you focus on the music before you say, okay, now I need to focus on acting? Or do you ever stop focusing on the music?
So that's a great question. I have to tackle the music first because that's my I mean, for the purpose of the production, that's usually the larger piece of my work. So I have to do a lot of pre-production work when it comes to music direction. There's a lot of planning, and then of course most productions start with at least a week of music rehearsals. Most directors tend to prefer that the music get taught before they launch into choreography or scene work and blocking and that type of thing. So a good chunk of music direction work happens right at the beginning. During the process, the rehearsal process, I never lose sight completely of the fact that I'm the music director. The only times when I completely turn off the music direction hat is when I'm an actor and I'm in choreography rehearsal because Daniel needs to dedicate 100% of his limited brain cells to choreography if it's a choreography rehearsal.
How does Daniel, the music director, give Daniel, the actor, notes?
All the time. Daniel, the music director, gives Daniel the actor notes. As with many people, I am sort of my own most critical, my own harshest critic, right? So I am constantly self-evaluating when it comes to my own performance.
When you music direct the Yes shows and the main stage shows, do you do you approach them differently?
I don't. The only difference between those two experiences is that I, when it's the Yes show, I take on, or I allow myself to take on a little bit more of the role of the teacher, a teacher. A music director typically doesn't have much time to teach. You know, my job as a music director for adult shows typically is just it's my job to teach everyone the harmonies, but it's not my job to teach them how to sing, right? With the Yes shows, with the youth, I usually take on myself if I need to, right? If the situation requires it, I will offer myself as a voice teacher as well, because obviously with the Yes show, some of the performers are a little bit younger. Many of them are extremely experienced, but even our most experienced youth performers benefit from a little bit of coaching in terms of how to use their voice. With the adults, it's rare that I either have the time or feel the need to really go into a vocal coach mode. Other than that, though, I would say that my approach is very much the same. The standards are very high of the youth musical, you know. So Anne, who's directed all the youth musicals that I've worked on, her expectation is that all the harmonies that are written will be taught, all of the harmonies that are written will be learned, and all of them will be performed as written. And that's frequently not the case for shows outside of the Morgan Wixon when we're talking about youth shows. But because she set that standard and she's had that standard forever and she was very clear in communicating that standard, I approach the work with that same standard. So I expect the youth to learn the difficult harmonies. I expect them to work on them on their own just as much as I expect the adults to. And to be frank, between you and me, sometimes the youth are better at working on their own harmonies outside of rehearsal than the adults are.
Really? I can't believe that.
Yes, it's true though.
So at the Morgan Wixon, what has been your most memorable role for you?
At the Morgan Wixon, I would definitely have to say Jeff in Title of Show. It's the first time in my life that I had been given a lead role, and I felt really, really strongly about the rapport that I had between myself and the character. Compared to most other roles that I had had prior to that point, it definitely felt the most aligned. And so I was very, and I loved the show. I adored the people that I was working with. It was a wonderful experience.
Dreaming the same thing at the same time, or is one of us dreaming and the others are in our dream?
Okay, you can drop the accent, but can we at least enjoy the dream?
And it was also very intense because it's a 90-minute show with no intermission. And as you may know, Hunter and Jeff, Hunter was played by Chris Tiernan, Hunter and I didn't leave the stage except for 90 seconds sort of at the hour mark. So for the rest of the time, you're just on stage and it changes scenes very quickly. So it was a real challenge for me as an actor in being able to bounce from scene to scene to scene. And it was also a challenge for me as a singer / performer, having the stamina to go through a whole show of that length and substance.
We could ask significant questions. We could get important points across, like, are we writing for art? And is art a springboard for fame? And will fame get us a sitcom? And will a sitcom get us on Ellen? And will Ellen get folks to like us? And if they like us, will they mic us, me and you, to nobody's in?
And yeah, I think that's the role that I'm most fond of at the Morgan Wixon.
Is there a show, or as an actor, a role that you would really like to do next?
Many shows I would love to music direct, many shows I would love to perform in. But at this current moment, the one that keeps popping to my head when I think about this type of question is I love Into the Woods. I think it's one of Sondheim's best shows for sure. And I have music directed it before at a high school that I taught at, but I've never had a chance to perform in it. And I don't think the Morgan Wixon has ever done it. So that's the show I would say that's at the top of my list of ones that I would love to do.
And which role would you be interested in?
I would love, I feel a great deal of rapport with the baker. So that's the role that would be most, that's the one I would be gunning for in the audition room.
When you said rapport, I thought you were going to say Rapunzel. And I thought...
I mean, I would do my very, very best, but the music director in me has got to say, I think those high notes, girl, they're just not working out.
Thank you so much for chatting today.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you for reaching out and setting this up.
Bye-bye.